Good day everyone! Today I'm going to present to you how do radiologic technologists reduce radiation dose. So why do I need to tackle this? Well, there seems to be an impression that being a radiologic technologist is just too risky because we're talking about radiation here. Well, let's see. To reduce radiation dose, the most important principle that radiographers must always have in their mind is the ALARA principle, which means as low as reasonably achievable. It basically means that even if it's just a small dose, if we're not going to benefit from it, avoid it as much as possible. And in order to apply this principle, we use 3 basic protective measures. What are those? The first one is time. The more time that you are exposed to radiation, the more dose that you are getting. That's why the exposure time in a diagnostic X-ray examination can be as short as 1 millisecond. The next one is distance. The distance and the dose are inversely proportional, which means increasing your distance from the source of radiation decreases your dose, and vice versa. The last one is shielding. This means putting something between you and the radiation source. Penetrating radiation such as X-rays and gamma rays can be stopped by lead, concrete, or water. Shielding can be in the form of lead barriers such as walls made out of lead or at least lined with lead. Shielding can also be in the form of lead apparel such as lead gowns, lead aprons, gonadal shields, thyroid collars, lead gloves, and etc. These apparels might be heavy because they contain pounded lead, but at least you're protected, right? These apparels are usually worn by radiographers, but it can also be worn by patients as long as it's not obstructing the part that will be examined. Now, what else should be considered? I know I said there are 3 basic protective measures in order to practice the ALARA principle, but let me add one more important thing to be considered for radiation dose reduction. And that is patient instruction. Why? Well, a clear instruction prevents mistakes, right? If there are no mistakes, there is no need for a repeat exposure, thus reducing one's radiation dose. Now, what are the common mistakes that lead to repeated exposures? Here are some examples of artifacts. Just so you know, artifacts are foreign objects on a radiograph, something that shouldn't be there. So you can see here a brassiere artifact, meaning the patient didn't remove their bra and it appeared on the radiograph. This might be rooted on the reason that they weren't given clear instructions. You can also see here a necklace artifact and, of course, patient motion that appears as a blur. So radiographers should always remind patients to be still during an exposure. Any alterations in the radiograph, even if it's just a tiny artifact, can affect the overall diagnosis. That's why with these errors, repeat exposure should be done. You're going to take another image. So you're doubling the dose, right? That's why a clear instruction is important. To conclude everything, the ALARA principle is vital in our field to reduce radiation dose. And to practice that, we can utilize time, distance, and shielding. Patient instruction is also important. If you can notice, all of this depends on the competency of the radiologic technologist, their knowledge, and their skills. So basically, be a good radiographer and you'll surely reduce radiation dose. That's all. Thank you for listening.